What's up, guys? Really tired this afternoon. Came straight from jiu-jitsu and I'm a little bit beat, so we're gonna take it easy, bit of a light tackle, and of course you recognize this spot by now. We've been here a number of times, but it's good fun and it's not super difficult. You know, on a day like today, I don't want to go trek out into the wilderness with, you know, a 10% chance of catching a fish. We're gonna come out to a park like this one. Not a huge challenge. Water level is actually quite low today. I think the last time I was out here, it was up over the banks. Like you see the sprinkler head there, it's like 2 or 3 feet past the sprinkler head. So really far down. It's actually the lowest I've seen it since I came out to this park for the first time. Turtles are everywhere, but luckily we're not using bait today. So let me set you guys down for a minute. Knee cut across my bicep. My bicep was killing me. How I got in a position where that happened, I'm not entirely sure. Alright, let me set you guys down. We're just going to do a little bit of jigging. The camera over on this side in case it does fall. It will not go careening into the water like my fishing rod did last time. Terrifying moment. Interestingly, that was not that incident, but that occurrence, that type of occurrence, the loss of a fishing rod, just due to negligence, is actually one of the most important things that ever happened to me. This was back before I was doing these videos, right when I first got into fishing, like seriously, when I really started picking it up. I spent maybe, I think, 40 bucks. And because my cousin, my uncle has always been a sportsman. My cousin has been a sportsman longer than me. And he messaged me. He knew I was getting into fishing. And he messaged me. He's like, hey, I'm at this garage sale. And there's this guy selling some old tackle for just a little bit of money. He's like, do you want me to pick it up for you and you can pay me for it? And I was like, yes. So it was an old multiplier reel. It was kind of a smaller one. I think it was like one of the old pens. It was about this big across. So still quite castable. It was maybe a 6.5 foot boat rod. Really beautiful action, and I caught some good fish on that. And I lost it at Rollover Pass. Actually got pulled into the water by a really big fish because I forgot to set the drag properly, and I left it for just a second, and a fish took it. And that actually inspired me to get better gear and to take my fishing more seriously. So although it kind of stings even to this day to think about it, because I loved that setup even though it was like 20 years old, it was a very important moment for me. Anyway, enough talking. Let's fish. I only had one bite over here and I missed it, and nothing else doing, so I'm just gonna move to the other side. It's deceptively hot out here. When I first got out here, it was a nice cool breeze, and then suddenly the sun was like, psych! Ugh. So I like this spot on this side, because look what you've got here. I don't know if it's gonna show up through the surface of the water on the camera, but you've got this normal feature of the weir. There's a little bit more water coming over this side, which is good. But then over here, where you've got this, the end of the concrete, which in itself is a good ambush point, you've got a series of overhangs that you don't have on the other side. And this underwater, I don't know if that's some leftover concrete or what, but it forms a nice, huge overhanging shelf. Wonderful spot for fish to hide if they want. So let's put you guys down. I'm gonna try this spot for a bit. If we don't get anything over here, move down into the tunnel where it's nice and shaded. I know we should be able to pick up a few fish over there. Still gonna stick with the same jig head for a bit. I really want to see if I can make this one work. seem to be getting snagged a lot more today as well. Don't know what that's about. Alright, we are changing spots now. I'm also changing lures. So I've got this little shad imitator on there now instead of that white tube jig. I quite like these a lot. Again, I don't remember what it's called. It's just a shad imitator. Got it from Academy. But the reason I went towards these originally is Mike Pullen from TA Fishing and TA Outdoors was always going on and on and on about something. I think he called it an attractor shad bait. He used it a lot for like drop shotting in a lot of their videos, and he swore by it. And there's very few people whose words I take at face value, but Mike Pullen is one of them. So I thought, well, if he makes it work, you know, it's got to work. Put this bag here. We've come under the tunnel now because it's just so hot out there. It actually killed the other camera for the moment. It just takes a minute in the shade to come back online, but basically we're just working these little shad imitators now. I don't know if it got caught on the other camera, but I was saying basically that Mike Pullen from TA Outdoors and TA Fishing is always going on and on about these baits called attractor shads. And although this is not the same exact one, it's very similar. It's incredibly tough. The elasticity is amazing. These things can get pulled on all day by fish and still work. Lots of success. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cast this thing just right out that way and work it up and down this wall here, which is, I kind of regret not wearing a head cam because you guys are like right at the level of the bar, but hey, what are you gonna do? What's done is done. Oh, look down there. Way down there. I don't know if you guys can even see it, but there's this big great white egret on the edge there, which is just fantastic. Both in regards to the fact that it's a beautiful animal and a really good sign that there's fish over here. So I'm just gonna slowly, you guys can see through the bars there, slowly work this back. See if we can get a bass to pick it up. It's a blue jay. Oh no, it's a kingfisher. Ah, so pretty. I love kingfishers. Still nothing. Let's do a few casts across. Bubbles right there, possibly a carp digging around. A guy was telling me when I was out here last time, he was saying that if you come out early enough, a lot of the catfish in here tend to gather around the weir early in the morning. And he was saying it's because people come out and feed them. And fish, contrary to popular belief of all types, do have fairly decent memory. And if you routinely feed fish in a given area, they're going to return to that area even at the given time. Fish can actually be trained very similarly to a lot of other species of animals that we consider more intelligent. I've actually seen in zoos and aquariums there's a technique called target training that's largely used to condition animals for certain behaviors that will benefit them medically. So if you think about, like, you take a gorilla to the vet, you know, a 400-pound gorilla does what it wants. So you use positive reinforcement through a technique called target training with a lot of animals to get them to present certain, like, you know, a gorilla is basically just going to hold his hand out, you know, present certain body parts, things like that. You know, big cats can be trained to a certain extent to allow you to handle their, you know, tail or whatever. I'm kind of butchering the explanation. If any of my zookeeper friends are watching this, I'm terribly sorry. But anyway, fish can actually be target trained. They're incredibly intelligent. It is a slow day today. Oh, and and I'm just now realizing I can actually see the bottom here, which I didn't realize before. So let's focus our cast near the middle now, because it's only about 5 inches deep right here. And yes, fish can and will hide in water that deep, but being that it's also so hot right now, it's quite possible that they've moved closer to the center. Oh, I lost him. Okay. But he bit, he took. That was the first bite over here, or second bite over here that we had. No, I missed a few, but no catches yet. Our missed fish count is now up to like 5. Just gotta stay patient. Stay patient. Oh, guys, well, after what felt like an eternity, we finally have something. It's a drum. Oh, thank goodness. Finally got a fish. Oh my gosh. Oh, starting to feel like a failure. All right, y'all. Looky here. Beautiful freshwater drum. And just took again, that shad imitator. I realized I had gone back and forth between a couple of different types of lures, and what I noticed is that all the lures that either had the curly or paddle tail that you could retrieve rather quickly are the ones that the fish were trying to hit. And this guy took it. Beautiful, absolutely love these fish. Again, it's like the best of both worlds. You're freshwater fishing and you get not a saltwater fish, but a very saltwater-like fish. Beautiful animal, let's put him back. Ah, it feels so much better to have a fish. One fish down. Let me show you again. This is what we got him on a fairly steady retrieve. So, back at it. All right, we're heading back to the weir. You know, it would be quite fitting that after I put out a video about how to catch more fish, that I should follow it up in a video where I hardly catch any fish. But that is the nature of the game. I'm gonna try to see if we can get at least one more. It's kind of hard to end this video with just one fish. Gotta have 2 is my bare minimum, generally, if they are small fish. So when I go out, when I set out to make a video, the goal is to make a comprehensive short film on fishing. In that film, I want to convey, a little bit of appreciation for the environment that I'm in and the animals that I'm, hopefully encountering. If possible, imparting a little bit of information that you may find useful when fishing. And then I always try to think, if I'm catching something small, respectively, like the bass that we find in these ponds are quite small, respectively, crappie, things like that. I always try to go bare minimum 2 fish, and then preferably 3 or more. And of course, the more you can get, the better. And then the only time I'd be satisfied in a video with just 1 fish. Now remember, I'm saying satisfied. That doesn't mean I haven't done this before. Would be if the fish were something exceptional. Like if I was fishing in this pond and it's like, all day no fish, and then suddenly I caught a random piranha that somebody let in here. that would make an acceptable video. One fish could do it because it's quite exceptional. Same thing, if you catch an alligator gar that's 300 pounds or a mako shark from shore, neither of those which I've done. The idea is generally, though, the more exceptional the fish is to the average viewer, the more you can get away with filming just one of them. And if they're smaller, like the ones we're going after today, generally to have a good film you need more. Yep, finally. What was I going on about small fish? This bass took a lure that is almost a third his own body length. I mean, look at that. When I set the hook, the whole fish came out of the water. But nevertheless, quite a pretty little fish. Doesn't really have those markings coming in yet. But he'll do well here. There's lots of minnows for this guy to munch on. Let's go ahead and put him back. Well, I think the stars just have 2 fish for us today. That's all right. It's kind of an impromptu decision to come out here. And in general, I want to put out more content more regularly. And, you know, just a part of that is going to be the occasional trip that's just not going to have quite as many fish. It's just a part of the game. It's going to happen. But we get a nice little drum. You get a nice little emphasis on little bass. But any fish is better than no fish. And even a bad day of fishing, as they say, beats a good day of working. So even though I'm incredibly hot and tired, I'm quite pleased. So more stuff coming soon. We've got a couple of videos that we actually already filmed that are going to be coming out relatively soon. I did some fishing in Pensacola, Florida, so keep an eye out for that one. And until it drops, I'll see you guys later.